we've really focused on building the underlying architecture that allows people that are clinicians to modify and control stimulus presentation. And the idea is that, maybe this architecture would be a useful tool for people with interest in developing more, type games to be able to take that stuff. I mean, it's really easy to say that games will support rehabilitation, but a lot of times various games that are made don't support real fine movement. That's good. It trains flailing sometimes rather than precision type movement, or it allows people, like say after a stroke, where the biggest problem is that they end up using their unimpaired limb for everything, and you get more disuse of the impaired limb. We want to make it so that they can do things with whatever range of function that they have, rather than just making it easy where somebody just flails around with their good limb. They can do that with everything. Here in the game, you want to make it reinforcing or rewarding to use a limb that's more impaired. And so that's really at the crux of this is finding that sweet spot, that integration between what makes a good rehab path and what is meaningful and motivating and engaging. Another one?
Yes, actually, full sense about this game. Actually, for this practice, we can also do some motivation for several different kind of parameters. For example, we can use this screen to choose the scenario the therapist wants the patient to. Another thing is to do the calibration. The meaning to the calibration is to arrange the location of the topic. Because some people may have some disability in the right hand, and some people have disability of left hand. But we want to make sure that the patient can continue to use their so we need to make this kind of calibration to do the customized location of the target, so that they can try to achieve his practice goal. The third thing is actually it's an island, so we can choose different kind of area so that the patient will have more interest in engaging this practice.
What was the name of the game?
Miss the Isle, yes. And the last thing is because we record all the information for the patient, so we can do some replay. Here is the list replay. The information at right side is some kinematic statics I calculate in this software. And try. Yes, we replay the movement, use all the signal we record during the patient's play. Yes, and you can see the yellow line and the blue line. They are the path of the hand.
The what?
The path.
Yes.
And for the therapist, they can use this to easier to evaluate the performance.
Who's it doing right now?
Who is
I
switching?
think they would record us, right?
Yeah,
Figures
that's
the
what the
movement.
Yes.
I mean, this is one of the core strengths with VR or any kind of interactive. You can capture, quantify, and visualize or present visualizations of behavior in ways that are intuitive. So, you know, if you were doing a very specific rehab task, you could see, you know, trial by trial, the interaction from all different angles, because this is showing multiple angles. You could show this a continuous stream of this. You could just get the numbers and pop it into a software program that, you know, that measures the kinematic change in performance over time. So what Kevin's showing here really is the fact that everything that went on while people were interacting, that's being automatically captured, and with, you know, a click, we can pull it up in different formats to support research or self-awareness, or, you know, like if somebody's always using their unimpaired limb, and then after they do their session, you say, you know, you got to start using your left arm more. I do use it halftime. Well, let's pop up the video or pop up the kinematics, and you show different ways that people, you know, maybe as an awareness builder, you know, as an awareness builder for the therapist to know what they've got to focus on. You know, so it's more than just having a cool looking backdrop. It's about fostering interaction, engaging users, capturing behavior, doing something with that capture, whether it's analyzing it statistically for a research hypothesis or visualizing it for a patient.
And, last thing I want to mention is about the device, because we choose some current commercial sensor, and it is we use Kinect because it is very easy to set up, so that we can have the patient just grab a laptop and one sensor, and they can just practice at his home, and maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, just for the therapist, just visit him and to get the result, and maybe to do some I mean, give the patient something at his home, so it's very convenient for the patient. I think that's the whole idea for this demo.
Reality saloon where it was a combination of physical props with digital displays, and the guy that runs it isn't here, so can't demo it, but on the displays, there's one behind the bar that have a bartender. The one that's the full wall extends the perception of the saloon longer and has a swinging door at the other end in which a gunslinger comes through, and then the one on the right has like a chorus girl that comes down, and they're intelligent agents. They talk to you. You wear a hat and it's got like these markers, and the cameras above can tell where by the position of the marker where you're looking. So if you look at the bartender, he'll say, "Hey, can I get you a drink?" Or he'll make a snide comment, depending on where you are in the story. Or if you look over at her, she'll say something to you. The gunslinger comes in, you look at him, or if you don't look, if he comes in and you're just like, maybe he'll go away. He'll pester you. It's like, "Hey, look at me." Stuff like that.
So it's a therapy game or a fun game?
No, this was a demo that this thing's about 3 or 4 years old. In fact, I think we're going to move on to something else, and I'm going to get the physical props and set it up in my backyard as my man cave. Actually, I'm going to put a roof on it, build a floor, and that's going to be where I'm going to hang out. But anyway, it was done as a demonstration of an integration of technology. So, you know, you've got mixed reality, physical props, digital displays. On digital displays, you've got intelligent virtual characters, like the virtual patient, but you know, you can talk to them, they can talk amongst themselves. Up on top, you've got cameras that track your position in the space and track what you're looking at, and you've got advanced narrative. Storytelling, because depending on what you say to one character at one point in time, it's going to spin the story off in a different direction than if you talk to this character first and said something else.
Role-playing game.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so that's what it was designed as, a demonstration of an integration of technologies 45 years ago. The thing was built. It was before we even moved into the new building.
Before my time.
Yeah.
I remember.
So it's kind of old, and but what it's done is, we get visitors from Camp Pendleton or other military bases. They see that and they say, well, can you do a similar thing with negotiating with an Afghan warlord in his home or in a village? And so you see now these training sites where there's a mixture of these kind of physical props, but with digital technology embedded in it, and with AI, with characters that, in some sense, it's not that everybody is so excited about digital characters. It's just that if you have a digital character, you don't have to pay an actor to play a role. If you go to the one down at Camp Pendleton, they have like 30 Iraqi expatriates that live here now that basically live at the site, and they built an Iraqi village in a building, in a warehouse basically. They've got a woman that's had an amputation, and they put makeup on her so that during one of the events when your squad is going through this thing, a bomb goes off, and now you've got to look at the carnage and figure out what the hell to do, and what's to do with your squad. Meanwhile, this woman comes crawling out with makeup and they've got this little device that's squirting blood out of her. She's a real amputee, but they put this thing on the end of it, it's squirting blood out, and she's screaming, and it's like, I'm just observing this thing, and I'm freaking out, just watching it. But, it's a way that they try to prepare people for the difficult things that they're going to face in combat, and how to emotionally prepare them. I mean, they're trying to, in that case, they're really teaching decision making. All right, are you going to help her, or what about your guys? Or how are you going to tactically position your guys so you can better help her? And so they do this, they act out all these things in a role-playing format. We try to do the emotional stuff in a VR environment where we built basically 6 episodes built off the content you saw here, but it's sort of like instead of watching Band of Brothers sitting on the couch in a TV show, you're putting on a headset, you're in the episode. So you're with a squad going on missions. At the end of each mission, you get hit with an IED. You see a guy laying in the road that's dying, but he's in a local, and your leader won't let you go out and help him because he's afraid he might be booby-trapped. So you're going to sit there in a vehicle and argue with everybody in the vehicle while you're not helping them, meanwhile watching a guy die, and dealing with that kind of thing. Seeing a child get blown up because the kid accidentally hit a tripwire that was meant for your squad. All these horrible things, an emotional obstacle course, if you will. But we don't just, the idea is pre-expose people to things that they may have to face, but then give them skills to deal with it. So at the moment after that bad thing happens, out walks a virtual human mentor that then teaches about stress response, about the neurology of the stress response.
Conditioning them, basically.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say condition, but we're trying to teach cognitive behavioral approaches for stress management, whether it's mindfulness training. There is a conditioning element in that. I don't want to get too much into weeds, but I'm a fanatic about the old learning theory stuff. If you expose somebody to something and there's no negative consequence, if you later expose them to something similar and there's a negative consequence, because of the pre-exposure, there's less incidence of fear conditioning, which underlies PTSD. It's called latent inhibition. And only learning, conditioning and learning geeks know that stuff. But anyway, so that's the premise for pre-exposure, but then follow up with a cognitive behavioral approach of teaching people coping skills in a context, maybe state-dependent learning, that in that context, if you learn something, and then you're in that real context later on, because you learned it in a similar state, if you will, emotional state and context, you're going to see more likely generalization.
And that's what we want. We want people to use deep breathing. We want people to have an automatic cognitive reappraisal that eliminates cognitive distortions and faulty reasoning. We want to do these kinds of stress management things, practice them in the context. So that's really, that is a big version with physical props and everything in a role play format. Military has similar stuff. And what we're proposing is to do this kind of stuff, and to do it pre-deployment, but deliver it. You know, when you go into boot camp, what you get is your, you know, you pick up your backpack, you get your holster, your gun, and here's your Gear VR. And now this becomes part of your basic training, where there's, not all the time, but at key junctures, it's like, okay, we're going to talk about how you would deal with this type of situation. Pull out your gear, put on headset, go to lesson 35, pop it on. I mean, it's just so cheap, you know?
It'd be a great contract. Basic training given to everybody, and now you keep doing it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And so Samsung is very interested. I had a call with them on Friday. You know, they like the idea that the military might adopt this as a training platform. You know, the thing is, it's first version. It's still pretty cool, though. I don't know what your impressions were. You know, I mean, I got video of my mom, my 81-year-old mother, at 3 in the morning when I came to visit her in Connecticut at a late flight. She's putting on the headset, and she's in her bathrobe, you know. She's, oh my God, I feel if I step out, I'm going to fall, you know. It's like, you know. So for the first pass, this stuff is rocking, but it will get better. So the key is when does this thing rise to that level where it's going to be cheap enough and high fidelity enough and flexible enough so that we can do what we do with these systems, where we can control stimuli, we can modify things easy. You don't got to be a programmer, no offense, to control these things or to make things. You know, our mission has always been, let's make programming or control or design of these things easy so that we can do it. Subject matter experts in gerontology or psychology, social work, can start to be able to do stuff with these things.
How much does that cost right now?
This,
Yeah.
what was it, the gear itself, the housing is like $175 or something.
Yeah, it's like $200 for the Gear VR housing itself, maybe a little bit more. And the phone, if you happen to have the phone on contract, it's whatever the price is, but we bought it off contract. So the so for us it was like $780 something
Yeah.
off contract.
It's paired with a Samsung, right?
Yeah.
Is it compatible with the iPhone?
No, there are others. There are other things that run on the iPhone. Like, you know, you've seen the Google Cardboard thing where you fold up it's like $25, and you fold it up. You can put an iPhone in there and download the app. And it's got little lenses, and you hold on to it. You're going to see bunches and bunches of these, and there are ones that run all different phones.
It's called Gear.
This is called Gear VR by Samsung. Yeah. I was actually impressed.
It's like grant funded by Samsung. To pay for the development, pay by the grant.
This,
No, I think it's just straight R&D on their part.
Oh, they made it, not
No,
you
this
guys.
is
I thought it was your
their
technology.
yeah, there
No,
it
no,
is.
this is their technology.
Oh.
No, Google Cardboard actually was something that ICT came up with 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then
Field
Google
of view,
saw
yeah.
it finally and then rebranded, and now it's like, oh my God, this is amazing by Google. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we did it 4 years ago. Google actually did in an article kind of state that it came from us originally. Oculus Rift, I think Skip Priori mentioned that technology came from ICT. Palmer Luckett
Hey, you guys
used to work here, so.
No.
Which we got paid, part of that $2 billion, that would be nice.
It'd be nice if we donated some back.
Yeah, a little bit
No,
back, that'd be
we don't have to
nice.
chase our tails looking for money.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's science.
All right, well, one last thing, just to mention, we're putting something up on the USC, it's called USC Ignite, or Ignite USC, it's a crowdfunding thing, to build a virtual Vietnam scenario for Vietnam era veterans, because it's turning out that Vietnam era vets, as they've gotten older, now they're starting to come back to the VA and try to resolve some of the difficulties they've had. And so, I'm not expecting you guys to donate, but if you know anybody that is already, that has some funding that they want to donate, you can go up on Ignite. Is it USC Ignite or Ignite USC?
Something like that.
They just started it, like, 1 month ago. It's like a
Yeah.
Kickstarter for USC. So we're trying to crowdfund that because apparently the government is not so eager to dig up those old wounds. Anyway, done.
Perfect. Perfect aging segue for us. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Skip. Really appreciate you allowing us to come here and giving us 2 hours of your time. Thank you.